Hello, everyone. Welcome to Coach's Corner. We need a full applause. There we go. Coach's Corner. Welcome to Coach's Corner, where we dive into some amazing material. And we are almost finished, excuse me, with the science of getting rich. And this has been an awesome review. Like we're reviewing the book, we're just kind of, excuse me, sharing this knowledge and really diving deep week after week on every chapter and just sharing our insight and also, what it means to us and giving you some stories and really helping you with this knowledge because it's so important to dive into to change the results that you're in and to improve yourself and to know more about yourself. And today, are you an advancing person? The advancing person. And we're going to dive deep into that. So my name is Jamel Matias. I'm a certified mindset success coach / business consultant, trained, mentored by the legend Bob Proctor. And basically my purpose is to reveal the hidden potential that's already within you and guide you to your truest desires. So I work with individuals, entrepreneurs, businesses, business owners, just basically hit higher milestones in their personal or professional career. And also, it's all about believing in the unseen, believing in that goal. And look, the year is almost up. What are you believing in for yourself and your business and your livelihood for 2026? So it's all about tapping into that vision, and I help guide you to that destination. So I'll pass it on to my awesome colleague, Paul.
Thank you, Jamel. My name is Paul Wooters. I'm in Burlington, Ontario, Canada. I'm a success mindset coach, Proctor Gallagher consultant, and director of the Leadership and Development Department at the World Life Education Center. And I help people live from the inside out rather than the outside in, which is what the majority of people do, allowing themselves to be influenced by what they see and hear, and their experiences dictate how they think and what they feel. But I help people living from the inside out to be guided by their vision, to create the life they want, to live with intention and by design, because transformation doesn't happen by accident. It happens with intention. I'm going to pass this over now on to my friend and colleague, Lou.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Jamel. Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're joining us from. So my name is Lou Perica. I am a success mindset mentor. And what I do is I guide women back to the truth of who they are. They are powerful, they are capable, and they are designed for more. And what I do is I help them untie the mindset knots that keep them playing small so they can live, they can lead, and they can create the life they want from their highest identity. And I'm excited about today's chapter, The Advancing Person, because it reminds us that growth is natural. We weren't sent here to be the same, and we're not behind, but this chapter gives us the permission to evolve gently, honestly, and in our own timing. But this is what it means by the advancing person, is to keep on growing. Jamel, back to you.
This is going to be so awesome. Thank you, Lou. Thank you. This is going to be so good. I think I say that every this is going to be awesome. It is. Every session is awesome.
It is good.
Yeah, thank you. It really is. And shout out to everyone that's here live with us. I see a lot of engagement. So hello to everyone tuning in. And don't be afraid to, ask some questions as we dive in here and engage with us. We appreciate the love and definitely apply this knowledge as well. It's so important to apply it rather than just letting it getting entertained or getting motivated. You want to apply it, because when you apply it, things start happening in your life and you start seeing the results. So speaking of applying, he shares right at the top here in this chapter, if you can give increase of life, if you can give increase of life to others and make them sensible of the fact, they will be attracted to you and you will get rich. That is so powerful. Let me see something here. I don't know why it's doing that. But that is so powerful if you really think about it. If you can give increase of life to others. So what do you think we do at Coach's Corner? We're giving increase, right? Well, hopefully. Well, I'm sure we are. And that's what it's all about. Really, it reminds me of leaving everyone with the impression of increase, right? And we talked about that in a previous session. So the more you give, you shall be willing to give and graciously receive. So that's essentially what they're talking about. So as you're giving to somebody else, some type of value, something that'll make them a better version of themselves, whether it's motivation or telling them you can, become or achieve this goal. You're a great person and you have all the potential you can ever have. Whatever you want to send to someone or give some type of increase, and it says make them sensible of the fact they will be attracted to you. You become a magnet because they know the value and what you're delivering every time. And they know I need to go to that person or that source in order for me to grow. So you actually start becoming attractive on a very spiritual plane as well. You feel the energy in that person, right? So anybody want to dive in there? We have a lot of people live. Awesome.
Yeah, that's great, Jamel. And one of the things I like that you said earlier was, to apply this knowledge, not just read it, not just, soak it in and but take some action on what we are offering here, what we are sharing with you here. And in this final chapter of The Science of Getting Rich, what the author is doing, he's bringing everything together. And he describes the person who lives in harmony with the laws of increase, that Jamel just said, right? The advancing person. It's not someone who's waiting, not someone who hopes. It's not someone who reacts. The advancing person is always moving forward, internally and externally, because advancement, because advancement is becoming their identity, and advancement is a way of being. It's not just a single event. This advancing person is not waiting for the perfect timing or the perfect conditions or the time is right or waiting for permission. They just live from the assumption that growth is natural and it's inevitable, which it is. And advancement happens because their thinking is progressive and their actions are intentional, and their presence, we talked about in the last chapter maybe, or the couple of chapters, that their presence creates this expansion. So they themselves never stop growing. And that's, we here are constantly studying, we're sharing, but we're constantly studying ourselves as well. And so the advancing person is never satisfied with stagnation, right? It's not from dissatisfaction, but it's from this creative ambition, right? They're always learning, they're always expanding capacity, and they're always refining. So they cannot remain stuck. Because they outgrow every situation. Lou.
Thank you, Paul. Thanks, Jamel. So I wrote down something. It says, nothing new grows in survival. And how do we know that we are an advancing person? How do we know that? Well, first of all, it's natural because life is always moving forwards. It never goes backwards. And growth doesn't have to be like super dramatic. It doesn't have to come with fireworks and music and everything, but it's just so real. And it's about becoming not someone else, but more of yourself, really getting quiet, and that feeling that, you know, you're outgrowing your old roles, your old identities, old expectations, even old ideas of what you may deem to be success or even rich. You're just feeling, and it may feel like you're feeling stuck, but what's happening is a new chapter, a new version is introducing itself to you and saying, come on, grow, grow. And this is what the advancing person does. They have a little example in this chapter. Now, let's just say you work for someone and you don't care for your job, but you have to put food on the table, right? You need to pay the mortgage, but you know there's more to you. You know there's more for you. Life is calling you, but you have to get this paycheck. So instead of working harder for your employer, start growing yourself. And what you will start doing by thinking new ways, by reading new books, by having new conversations, by asking new questions, you're going to advance yourself. And this is when he talks about, and what Jamel mentioned about attracting, you will start to attract new opportunities. So you're not doing it per se for your employer to stay in the same place, but you're doing it for yourself and to grow, to explore, and to experience new things. And this is what is the advancing person. You know, it's very, very personal, and there's no timeline, like you have to do this now. And it's personal, but it only needs to make sense to you. I know when I was going through my shifts, I don't know if anyone around me, understood why I was doing what I was doing, why I was speaking differently, why I was showing up differently. But it doesn't matter. What matters is it matters to you. How do you want to grow? Do you want to have new conversations, or do you want to keep having those same surface level conversations? Anyone that speaks to me knows. So, we're going out deep. Yes, we are. So this is what the advancing person feels like inside. It's to grow themselves, but also, like Jamel was mentioning, leaving the impression of increase with others, because when you grow yourself, everyone around you benefits. You show up differently. You show up more authentically. And others will, again, benefit from that new energy. And those who are not meant to still stick around, that's okay. But you will attract new people, new opportunities. Jamel?
Wow. Both of you are on fire. Wow. Speaking of advancing person, you know, we're living proof of it. You know, if you haven't felt that yet, go back to every Sunday and watch Coach's Corner. You know, watch all these episodes, because, you know, it's really speaking to me, and she may blush when I say this on camera. You're looking at a very advancing person, Lou, right there. You know, she had a scratchy voice today, and she still showed up on camera to share this knowledge with you. And, you know, it's very, very, very important for you to open up to it. And, you know, shout out to everybody. I see a lot of people on YouTube. Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. Wow, this is awesome. Andrew, good to see you. Good to see you. Yeah, definitely want to acknowledge people that are here live. Yeah, move like you already have it. There you go. Andrew is amazing. He has a great mindset. Yeah, awesome. Hello, everyone. Awesome. So Yeah, so this is cool. So, we shared some powerful things there. And, to continue, he says in this part right here in the book, the physician who holds the vision of themselves as a great and successful healer and who works toward the complete realization of that vision with faith and purpose, as described previously, obviously in the other sessions, will come into such close touch with the source of life that they will be phenomenally successful. Patients will come to them. So they're basically talking about, Wallace is talking about the certain way, right? And you have to have a vision first. What are you creating in your life? Where are you going? And I just did a great presentation on the choosing the right type of goals yesterday. So, he even says here, who holds the vision of themselves. This is why it's very important to have a vision of where you're going, not just now, not just for 2026. I mean, now, because the more you operate without a vision, you're like driving in the dark with your headlights off. You don't know where you're going and you don't have a vision, right? So he says, hold the vision of themselves as a great and successful healer. So they're talking about physician in this example. So who are you? That is a profound question. Who am I? Who am I? I'm a high value coach and I'm going to give you 1000%. That's who I am. And who works toward the complete realization. So this isn't work to me and to my colleagues, I'm sure. We enjoy talking about this. And there's a thin line between work and play. So if you're not in the right field, he even talked about that in a previous chapter. Do all you can with where you are, with what you have, and then you will get into the right business. So I had to progress into this to be where I'm at right now. It's funny, you connect the dots, right? Going back, like, wow, look at all those jobs I had where I wasn't really fulfilled or just trying to find myself, right? And here I am completely fulfilled. And Lou and Paul knows I can talk all day about this until I have no voice. So really think about that, right? I'm not working towards the complete realization. I am becoming. And that's kind of what Andrew shared there, and he says, we'll come in such close touch with the source of life, the source of life. Really, really think about that. What is the source of all life? Wallace is so cool because he throws these little nuggets that make you kind of want to go even deeper about it. That he will be phenomenal. That person will be phenomenal, phenomenally successful. And patients, you basically will start attracting. With that vision, you know where you're going. You're actually attracting by becoming. It's so beautiful when he shared that. So, but yeah, I'll get off my bandwagon there. And anybody want to jump in there?
So I really like it. So in this chapter, right, he's using those examples. So he starts off the example of the physician and what a great position the physician is in to give value increase. And then he goes on and talks about in the field of religion and also talks about a teacher. But it's not just, those are really great examples that he uses. But I really like this part where he says, what is true of the teacher, the preacher, and the physician is also true for the lawyer, dentist, real estate person, insurance agent. It's true of everybody. It's true of everybody. This is for anybody. So he's giving some great examples. You think, well, I'm not a physician, or I'm not a preacher or a minister. So how does that apply? But then he reinforced it. It is for everybody. And the person, you are a constant source of increase to other people. And that circles back to chapter 14 of the previous chapter. And so what the advancing person does is they lift other people. They encourage growth. They create value. They inspire confidence in other persons, right? That was, the impression of increase. And increase just flows through that person, and the return is multiplied. So advancement in that case becomes inevitable. right? You can't live this way. The author says you can't live this way and stay where you are, because with advancement, or rather when advancement becomes your identity, then the results will follow. And life will respond to who you are being, not what you are demanding. So when you live as this person of growth and faith and increase, advancement becomes unavoidable. Lou.
Thank you. Um, I forget what lesson it is in Thinking into Results. It could be lesson 1, where you see the gentleman, he wants to earn more money. He works at a job, and you see somebody handing him money, and he's counting the money. And Bob says, money doesn't come from your job, it comes through your job. Oh, from the employer, it comes through the employer. And when I first heard that, I got it, but I kind of didn't get it. And I'll tell you, intellectually or conceptually, I understood it as time went on, as I started to study more and more and learn about me, learn about universal laws, etc. And I've come to the point where I really get it, that everything comes from one source. And that is, for me, that was that was a big idea for me. No, what do you mean? I get the milk from the supermarket. I get, this from here and that from there. And that's what Bob is saying in that particular lesson, that everything comes through people, through opportunities, but it's all coming from one place. And if you can really grasp that idea and that truth, you'll feel more connected. You'll feel more connected in that you are not alone, because success it's a system. It's a system. And everyone who's ever achieved anything worth mentioning, no matter what their stories, if they've come over here from a different country, they only had $200 in their pocket. I mean, we hear all kinds of stories, but the patterns are the same. It's they had a desire, they had a vision, and they stuck to that vision, and they did whatever it took to achieve their dream. Or they come to America to achieve the American dream. But that dream really can be achieved almost, I should say, almost everywhere, because a lot of times there's restrictions through government and whatnot. But I wanted to read this, and he's talking about the vision. Hold it in such a way that every person who comes in contact with you, whether foreman, fellow workman, or social acquaintance, will feel the power of purpose radiating from you, so that everyone will get the sense of advancement and increase from you. Men will be attracted to you, or people will be attracted to you. And if there is no possibility for advancement in your present job, you will very soon see an opportunity to take another job. This is, or create your own business, whatever that may be. But you can feel, when you meet people, you can feel a sense of whether they're living with a purpose, whether they're on track, whether they have a goal. You feel it from them. So that's what he's talking about. When you have a purpose, when you have a vision, and when you are focused and putting your attention on advancing your life for the experience, because knowing that life always goes forward, you will give off that vibration. People will know. People will know, I can't just have any conversation with this person because they're going forward. They're not going backward. So those sideways, mundane, surface conversations typically don't fly, or not for very long, because they're advancing. They're experiencing as much life as they can during this lifetime. And just going back to what I originally said, when you know that there is this one power that operates through everything, it gives, I know for me, it gives me the feeling that I do not have to depend or be swayed by all my outside circumstances and conditions. Stay on track, keep your eye focused, your attention focused, continue the work, right? And live from that vision. You're actually living the vision. You're not pretending, you're actually living the vision. And this is what I consider to be an advancing person. Jamel?
How do I follow that? Oh, wow. See, we're not competing, we're creating. We're creating, right? There's no competition here. And when you come from the mindset of creating, you're actually already becoming an advancing person, right? If you really think about it. We're creating based on our own vision, our vision of where we're going and what we're creating. And the outside is a reflection of that vision. It's so powerful when you think about that. And when you operate from a creative essence or mindset, that creativity is abundant. It never runs out. And it's always working with you. And when you're thinking competitive, it's a lower awareness of yourself, right? And you're trying to do better than your fellow man or fellow woman. And you actually separate yourself and you actually work harder working from the competitive plane. And a lot of us, majority of people operate that way. I was really thinking about this and wow, it's amazing. See, people are very serious tapping in with advancement, setting up calls with me right now. So speaking of advancing and creative, I'm creating this. Paul's creating it. Lou's creating it. And the question is, what are you creating? Right? We can talk about each chapter till we're blue in the face, but if you don't have a vision, you don't really know where you're going. And he says here, it kind of jumped out at me. He said, the combined mental and personal action I have described is infallible. It cannot fail. Every person who follows these instructions steadily and to the letter will get rich. The law of increase of life is as mathematically certain in its operation as the law of gravitation. Right? So we're on this planet because of gravity. Getting rich is an exact science. So this is to take very seriously what we've been sharing on the Coach's Corner, because we've been explaining this exact science in great detail. And it's so interesting when you look at it. It's quite simple, but you have to be open to receive. You have to be open to receive. And he says it's infallible, right? Think of gravity. Gravity doesn't choose one day, I'm just going to work on Lou and not Jamel. So I start floating away in the camera, right? It doesn't choose to lift the mountain back there behind Paul's background and just let it fly into space one day. It's always operating, right? And this is how it's designed, and your creative abilities is always operating, always. The law of the increase of life, the law of increase of life is as mathematically certain in its operation as a law of gravitation. That was just huge for me. So really pay attention to this and take it very serious, because this is how you shift things in your life. You really have to apply it.
So good, Jamel. Yeah, give yourself an applause.
Thank you. Where is it? There you go. I'll give you a drum roll here. Here you go, Paul. I set you up for
So I like the part where he says, when you begin this way of thinking and acting, your faith and purpose will allow you to quickly see any opportunity to better your condition. So I'll say that again. Begin this way of thinking and acting, and your faith and purpose will allow you to quickly see any opportunity to better your condition. And those opportunities will come to you because the power that, God, the source, the universe, it's working in everything and working for you, and it will bring opportunities to you. And you can't just, sit around and wait for the opportunities. When an opportunity presents itself, now is the time. Now is the only time. So when you feel impelled, move toward it, take it, and it will be the first step toward a still even a greater opportunity. And I remember, Bob talking about this, and Bob said that success isn't something that you chase. It's something that you grow into. And that's what, the author Wallace Wattles calls the advancing person. And it's someone like you who has decided that growth is your nature. Not waiting for opportunity, you prepare for it. And I saw a comment there, act as if you are that person already. Act as if you already have those things. Start acting as if you already are that person, already have the things that you want. And people don't wait for confidence. They act in faith. You begin to act in faith. You can act in, there's fear or faith, right? Faith or fear. And which one? Both demand that you believe in something that you can't see. So you don't wait for conditions to improve. You improve yourself. So many people wait. Well, I'm going to wait for the right time. I'm going to wait for the right conditions. But the advancing person doesn't wait for the conditions to improve. They improve themselves. And I remember also Bob saying, if opportunity doesn't knock, then build a door. Build a door. Mm-hmm. And so, when this advance becomes who you are, your identity, then life has no choice but to move you forward. Doors will open, people will appear, and opportunities will unfold. I mean, that happened to me recently, this past year, because I was a speaker at the World Life Education Center. They asked me to be part of their faculty, to teach this material at their center, to teach this material at their school. And they created a position for me. They created a whole department for me and letting me go with that, to give this knowledge to adults, to run workshops and classes, and to also work with students in the high school, mastering their mindset. And the opportunities don't happen by chance, they happen by law. So you have to decide that you are such a person, you are an advancing person, and you will see that the universe will meet you at that decision. And I remember Bob saying that to me. Lou.
Awesome. So I think a couple of weeks ago, one of the chapters was getting into the right business. And I just want to share, as I listen to all three of us here today, and we're all sharing the same information. Mm-hmm. However, Jamel works with a different clientele than Paul. And Paul works with a different clientele than I do. Or we're speaking to, maybe. I speak to women. That's who my ideal client is to women 45 and plus. Paul speaks to young adults and adults. And even the faculty is learning so much from Paul. Jamel speaks to entrepreneurs and he's a business coach. But we're all teaching and sharing the same information because success is a lawful process. And this is why understanding universal laws and understanding acting in the certain way. And why do we if? Why do we act as if? This is living from the goal, because where you are now, perhaps, and let's just say this is your goal, this goal thinks, feels, it behaves differently than the version that you may be at right now. So you will get new ideas from this version of you. You'll meet new people from this version of you. So that's why we act as if. And for my women, sometimes they feel off, and they can't explain why they feel off. She hasn't done anything wrong, and she hasn't failed at anything, but she can feel herself outgrowing her current version of her life. And that feeling, that discomfort really is advancement knocking. But she doesn't know that. So she's struggling with this internal discomfort. And that internal discomfort is really the divine essence within us, as we were always talking about, whether you call it God, source, life, energy. It is always looking to express and expand itself in a greater way. In other words, advance itself. And it advances itself through physical form, because that spirit, that energy is non-physical. So there's the opposite. It expresses itself through the physical form, which is you and I. So this is why it's natural to want more. When I grew up, I would feel guilty wanting more. I thought I was being selfish, self-centered. I went to school and they would tell me if I didn't finish my lunch, there were people starving, and there was more guilt and guilt and guilt. And it took a long time to realize, oh, it's natural, because I would suppress that. Why do you want anything? You got enough. Stop wanting. My goodness. But I realized the advancing life within me is calling me forward. Let's go. Let's grow. Let's experience as much as you can during this particular lifetime. Let's do it. So don't look for permission for other people. Every one of us has that feeling. I was just at a BNI, I was somewhere, I was speaking, and I was saying that I work with women, and I was talking about this feeling. However, that feeling is in everyone, every person, not just women. And why? Why is it? It's because the advancing life, the non-physical part of us, is calling through the physical part of us to grow. So it may feel scary because it's unknown to you, but just don't say no, just consider it and sit with it. Because sometimes you have to shift your whole nervous system, because you've been so conditioned to be on survival mode that that's all you know. So sometimes a new thought, a new idea is very scary. So you have to let your nervous system just settle with the idea at first. Just let it settle. That's why doing the visioning, and, your dreaming goal, just start getting used to the idea. and then start taking steps, one step at a time. So that's what I have to share. Jamel.
No, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. Desire comes from within, and it's unexpressed possibility. It's unexpressed spirit, right? And desire, I think, I don't want to misquote, but it's very spiritual because it's telling you where to go. And this is why we want things, right? And if you shy away from the things you really want, that's your limiting self trying to hold you back. Oh, don't imagine that. You can never do that. Or how can I do that? That's that voice that wants to keep you where you are, stuck. Right? And if you want something, that's the direction to go. That's the direction to go. Desire, I think it was Neville, I believe, or I forgot where I read it, but it said it was the language of God. Wow. So it's spirit seeking expression to and through you, because you actually grow as a person, as a spirit, when you desire something and you start taking action towards it. Right? Very uncomfortable, because you're shedding that old skin. You're taking off, you're throwing away that old jacket you had for like 20 years and sitting in your closet, and you put it on every winter. You got a new jacket, right? And new you, right? When we put on new clothes, I wear a new tie. We're recreating ourselves, right? There's that creative plane again. And I got to back up a little bit. Shout out to Andrew. You're talking my language here, buddy. And that's my guy right there. We're going to do some great things. He says, if you continue to wait for the perfect conditions, more than likely you're going to wait your entire life. Yes.
Yeah.
I couldn't have said it better. I say that a lot, because anytime you're waiting, I got to lean into the camera now. Anytime you're waiting, guess what you're doing? Your limiting self is holding you back over and over. Anytime you're waiting and thinking about, whether investing in mentorship, obviously, we're all mentors here, or investing your time to your higher self. So if you're doubting and waiting and may have been watching our videos and never scheduled a call about your future, you're letting your limiting self hold you back. Right? And thank you, Andrew, for sharing that, because we try to wait till everything's aligned so perfectly, right? I got to make sure I have enough of this and have the time and have the money. And then I got to write all the spreadsheets out to make sure I'm good for this vacation that I really want to do. But at the same time, I desire this thing. So that's all that is logical thinking. And that's your limiting self holding you back and justifying why you're staying stuck. So you're a perpetual cycle of being stuck in one position. You might think about moving forward, but you'll stay there, right? It's so important to understand. You say you have to jump when you're most scared, right? Scared, you have to jump into the fire, right? What did Bob say? Jump off the cliff. You'll grow wings as you're falling. And it's true. Look at us. We're here sharing some knowledge that a lot of people, that's so wishy-washy. It's hard for them to comprehend, right? So I remember one of the articles. He said, those that publicly speak are mental giants. We're not letting the outside world dictate and define who we are. So very important. You have to go in, jump off the cliff. You'll develop wings as you're falling. And that's faith. That's true faith. And we acted on faith and will continue to. I even forgot the notes I was about to mention, because that comment so good allowed me to segue from it. But it's important, right? It's so important. So, Wallace says, do all the work you can do every day and do each piece of work in a perfectly successful manner. Put the power of success and the purpose to get rich into everything you do. So what that means is taking it one day at a time, one moment at a time, and you're doing each piece of work in a perfectly successful manner, meaning you have a vision of where you're going, and you're actually having faith while you're taking the action, and purpose, and guess what? Gratitude. knowing that you are becoming. And Bob always shared, nothing's created or destroyed. It's just in one form or the other. So the more you keep chiseling it away, you're sculpting this beautiful version of you. Every little hammer, every little move, you're creating that new lifestyle for yourself, that higher income for yourself. You're chiseling away actually all the noise and the waste, that you no longer need. And he says the person who is certain to advance is the one who is too big for their place and who has a clear concept of what they can be. There's the vision. You can be and have anything. That's one of my affirmations. I can be, I can do, I can have anything I ever dreamed. I say that to myself every day.
Yeah.
So it's important for you to apply that, right? So, and he says, and who has a clear concept of what they want to be? There's the vision again. And who knows that they can become what they want to be? That's faith. That's faith, right? And lastly, he says, and who is determined to be what they want to be? That's the power of the will. Everything outside of you is a reflection of the inside, right? And if you're determined to become, the universe has to obey you. It's by law. It's by law. It can't just say, oh, here goes Jamel again. I'm not going to, here comes Paul again. Here comes Lou again. It's like, okay, this is what you want. Here. Determined to be. So very, very important to, a few things that stood out to me there towards the end of the chapter. But yeah, I'll pass it on.
Thank you, Jamel. That was awesome. And I also had highlighted that comment from Andrew. If you're waiting for those perfect conditions, you're going to wait for your entire life. You're never going to be ready, right? People, as Jamel said, get stuck in what Bob Proctor would say, analysis paralysis. Trying to figure out all the how's this going to happen, and writing it all down. Well, if I want to do this, this has to happen. Now I want to do this, this has to happen. This has to happen first. This has to happen first. And Andrew also said it's scary, but you just have to take that chance. Yeah, faith or fear, right? We talked about it. Faith or fear both demand you believe in something you can't see. So why not choose? Why is your default your fear? Why is default I can't do it? You're never going to be ready for a thing. Just when you take that step, when you do that makes you ready. When you take that step. And Jamel said, it's just, you heard it's like, it sounds very cliche, one day at a time, one step at a time, but that's all you can do because now is the only time you have. Right now is the only time. What happened yesterday, what happened an hour ago, what happened last week, it's gone forever. You can learn from that. You can take that and learn a great lesson from that and decide to do things different. But now is the only time you have. Tomorrow, when tomorrow comes, do the thing, do tomorrow's work tomorrow. And in this book also said, do today's work well. Give your full effort, your full concentration, your full focus. Do everything you're doing in a certain way, which is to do the best. Even if you're at a position, even if it's doing a job you don't really want to do, come with the best version. Show up as the best version of yourself and make every action you take a successful action. And if you do that, then you will have a successful day and you'll go on to the next day. You can't help but have success if you try to do everything in a certain way, which is giving your best self towards that, doing what you can to the best of your ability. That's what you need to do. And, in my notes here, the author is saying that getting rich, it's not a matter of luck or talent or environment. It's following these certain laws and principles that govern, just as there is a science to math or a science to physics. It's a science of getting rich, and it's a cause and effect process. It doesn't happen by chance. People don't become rich by accident, and they don't stay poor because of fate. If someone follows the laws of wealth, or of wealth creation, they will succeed, regardless of the background or situation. It's not dependent on the environment either, because a lot of people will say, well, depends on location or where you live or who you know. And the author is rejecting this idea. He has pointed out that rich people exist in every industry, and you know that, and in every location, but so do poor people. And the difference isn't the environment then, it's how they think and how they act. And it's not necessarily about talent either, because intelligence, highly educated people are not, they don't always find themselves in the best place. Sometimes people who don't have a degree are very successful, and some highly talented people remain poor. So wealth creation is governed by the universal laws, and that works for anyone who applies them. And there's a little short paragraph in this book, and it says, there is no such thing possible in this universe as a lack of opportunities for a person who is living the advancing life. Lou.
Wowza, wowza, wowza. You gentlemen are both on fire. Excellent. So for me, I think it really comes down to developing a deeper level of self-trust, believing that you can experience whatever it is that you desire. And those experiences can change too. But believing, there's that self-trust to know, and to also, I think the advancing part, because I just experienced this, and I'll tell you, it feels so freeing. But to set up boundaries, I never really set up boundaries before, because to me they felt so rigid. But I'll tell you, when I started saying no thank you, and my yeses, I really want them to be a hell yes. And choosing rest, because I needed rest, and not to lay down and feel guilty that I should be doing, right? Not having to over-explain myself. This is what I want. This is why I said this, and that's that. Releasing the guilt. And these, and I know I'm not alone, but these are all signs of an advancing person. So welcome these changes. They are so freeing, because we hold the key. We hold the key to our freedom. So when we're able to trust ourselves to say, you know what, it doesn't matter if my partners, my friends, my family, my community support me, understand me, agree with me. It's being able to stand up to yourself, for yourself, and moving forward, because you have the greatest power of all creation working through you and for you. So advance, knowing that it's a natural state. It's part of evolution. I hear people, they're all freaking out. I was at a networking event, and they're all freaking out. Not all. Many were freaking out about AI. But this is just evolution. It's evolution. It's not going to go away. So how can we work with it to advance ourselves, to grow ourselves? But humanity is always evolving. I read a post the other day, why can't we just go back the way things used to be? That's just never going to happen. If you're speaking about kindness, caring for other people, absolutely. You do it first. Don't wait for the world to do it. You do it and create it in your own life, create it in your own world, create it in your own experience. But humanity as a whole is always evolving, always evolving. It's collective consciousness. Where do we want to go? But each and every one of us are feeding into the one mind. So this is why we need to be very aware, very mindful of our thoughts, how we're thinking, how we're feeling, how we're behaving, because we are walking, talking, breathing electromagnetic fields in motion. So we're constantly sending out and receiving. So be the advancing person in your world, and you will see a wonderful, beautiful ripple effect that you've never experienced before, because you are behaving, thinking, and feeling in a different way. Bye, Andrew. Thank you for joining us.
I think he's still here.
Oh, I
Yeah.
thought he said best wishes. I thought he was signing off.
Oh no, that was somebody else. I was just highlighting some comments of our viewers.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yeah. They're tuned in. They're tuned in, you know,
Good,
because
good.
this is extremely powerful knowledge, right? And, you know, my colleagues here are expressing something very, very special. This is not just words, you know, and this is not just motivation or inspiration. This is a blueprint for you changing the trajectory of your life. And if you take it seriously and apply it and be open to it, your next year, what does Bob say? You need a telescope to look back to see how far you've come. You know, wow, that was the little old me back then. Well, look at me now. Look at me now. And I want each and every viewer to be able to say that to themselves and be proud of yourself, that you're getting out of your comfort zone, you know, investing in yourself, you know, really being serious about mentorship, because I'm not going to stop growing. My colleagues are not going to stop growing. Let's grow together, you know? So, you know, Wallace says here, hold the faith and purpose of increase during your work hours, after your work hours, and before your work hours. This is for people, you know, for people that feel like they're not in the right place right now, if they're maybe an unfulfilled job, anywhere in your life professionally, right? I remember being very unfulfilled. It was almost depressing. But I had a vision. It was blurry in the beginning, but I had hope and faith as well. And I had a shift. I wouldn't be sitting here talking about this if I didn't, right? So you want to get clear on what you really want, however uncomfortable it is. Don't worry about the how. The how is for the universe. So, and he says, hold it in such a way that every person who comes in contact with you, whether foreman, fellow workman, or social acquaintance, would feel the power of purpose radiating from you. Did you feel anything on Coach's Corner today? Yes, you did. That's radiation. That's vibration. That's energy. So it's impossible. I mean, who cares? Maybe you don't understand all of this. I mean, we don't understand it as Wallace did, right? But you feel it. That's your subconscious. So he says, hold it in such a way that every person who comes in contact with you, et cetera, would feel the power of purpose radiating from you, so that everyone will get the sense of advancement and increase from you. People will be attracted to you. And if there is no possibility for advancement in your present job, you will very soon see an opportunity to take another job. And not just another job, another opportunity, maybe even outside of whatever you're doing. This is where you got to open up to what Spirit is sending you. And he says there's a power which never fails to present opportunity to the advancing person. Never fails. to present opportunity to the person that is advancing. This is why you're either creating or you're disintegrating in every moment, actually, every day. So that person who is moving in obedience to law, in obedience. So you're in obedience to what you're creating rather than just being tossed around by life. Oh, this happened to me. That happened to my uncle. That happened to my significant other, my partner, whatever. And oh, I remember this. Nothing's happening to you. And it's a hard pill to swallow. You know, we're creating all of this. And it's how we react and respond. Do we react to life or do we respond from a higher awareness? Oh, that's good. That's great. Right. And this part really spoke to me. He says, God, whatever religious background or energy, God cannot help helping you if you act in a certain way. He must do so in order to help themselves. Oh, so what that says to me, acting in a certain way, if you missed that, go back and watch or just read the chapter. What is a certain way? It's having a vision, having faith, knowing that you're attracting it, it is coming. Purpose, what is your purpose? And gratitude. In every moment, right? So it says God cannot help helping you. So as you're moving towards it, it's coming towards you. And what you desire actually wants to give it to you more than you want it. And I heard that somewhere. And it's interesting when you really think about that concept. So those are a few things, you know, towards the end there, I really wanted to mention here. Anybody want to chime in?
Yeah, I would like to. I saw Andrew's follow-up comment. He said it's blurry right now, but he has hope. Where is it? He has hope and his faith, and he has the belief that it will be mine. I don't necessarily know how, but I know that it's coming and that it's on its way to me. So important to have that belief. You know, ask, believe, receive. You have to have that belief, and then you have to act on it. Not just hope and pray, but act. And that's like I said this a few weeks ago, and I loved saying it because I remember when Bob said it. It really stuck with me. Pray and move your feet. So you can't just read this information. You can't just take this information in and walk away from it. You have to take some action. And as we already said, you're never really ready for a thing. You just have to do it, and then that makes you ready. The conditions are never going to be perfect. You're never going to know all the how. If you know the how, then your goal isn't big enough. And if you're in a place where, hey, this isn't the job I want, then as this book had said, you know, you will outgrow your place. Now, how do you do that? By acting a certain way. What is that? By putting forth your best effort, coming out with your best version every time you tackle any task, big or small. And I also love, and I had this conversation the other day with a small group I was talking to, and you'll be compensated. I don't know the exact words that Bob said it, but you'll be compensated for the need for what you do, your ability to do it, and the difficulty it will be to replace you. So you're going to be stuck in that same place. You know, you do your job, you do your job. I did my job. That's the primary job. That's all I'm going to do. But if you give more, right, you will outgrow your place. And as Les Brown, maybe one of the most wonderful, powerful speakers in the world, he said, if you never do more than what you're being paid to do, you'll never get paid. If you never do more than what you're getting paid for, you'll never get paid more for what you do. And so, you know, those lines really, really stuck with me. And so, you know, you have to outgrow your place simply by doing things in a certain way, just by doing them to the best of your ability. Bring your best version. Step forward. If you want to be somewhere else, you want to do something else, continue to study. As Jamel had said, reach out for mentorship because we keep you on track. You will gain clarity, but you have to take action. You have to take some kind of action to start moving yourself towards the goal, towards a dream that you want to be, towards the person that you want to become. And as Andrew said to you, act as if you are that person. Start doing those things that the person you want to be, start doing them now. Just start. You don't have to know the how, but when you start, the doors will open for you. You will meet the people that you need. You will come across the resources that you need and the circumstances that you want to have. That will all open for you. Those doors will open for you, but they don't open for you if you just sit back and you're sitting on your couch. It won't happen. So you have to take the action. Lou.
Very, very good. I think I don't know if it was Jamel or Paul at the beginning said, one of the biggest questions you can ask is, who am I? But I think the next biggest question, and we've had discussions about this, is, what do I want?
Mm-hmm.
What do I want? Because the hows and everything else will fall into place. Because you, like Paul just said, you're not going to know the how. If you know the how, you would have already done it.
Mm-hmm.
So this is why the what is so important. And we go back and forth, like, how important is the why? Is it as important as the what? And, when Bob said that the why isn't as important as the what, but we hear many times people saying, well, why do you want what? And I really think the what is more important, because, in my opinion, sometimes you don't know why. It's just the feeling of achieving something, having something, experience something, contributing something. It's that feeling. So the what is super important. And so I have a question. Where in your life do you feel a quiet nudge that you're ready for more? Even if you can't quite explain it yet. And that's something, that feeling is that something no longer fits anymore. And that it is a sign for what's coming next. So when you feel that feeling, it's okay. It's okay. It means you're advancing, and you are an advancing person. Thank you.
Oh, wow. Here we go. Paul knew where I was going. Wow. This, I told you, it was going to be special. Here's a part to close out. I know we're over time, but there is nothing in your circumstances or in the industrial situation that can keep you down. If you cannot get rich working for the Steel Trust, you can get rich on a 10-acre farm. And if you begin to move in the certain way, you will certainly escape from the clutches, quote unquote, of the Steel Trust and get onto the farm or wherever else you wish to be. So it doesn't matter where you are. Start right now where you are with what you have. And everything starts shifting for you. And he says, begin this way of thinking and acting. And your faith and purpose will make you quick to see any opportunity to better your condition. Notice faith and purpose, right? Such opportunities will speedily come for the supreme, working in all, not just some, working in all, even you, and working for you. This is what I meant. It doesn't happen to you. It's working for you. Will bring them before you. All the opportunities, it will bring them before you. And he goes on to say here at the end of the chapter, do not wait for an opportunity to be all that you want to be. Do not wait. I spent a long time waiting and I didn't know what I was doing, right? When an opportunity to be more than you are now is presented and you will feel impelled toward it, take it. It will be the first step toward a greater opportunity. This is basically, what we're all sharing here. So there's no such thing possible in this universe as a lack of opportunities for the man who or person who is living the advancing life. Listen to that. There's no such thing as a lack of opportunities. You just have to change your perception. It's there waiting for you. So it is inherent in the constitution of the cosmos that all things shall be for you and work together for your good. And you must certainly get rich if you act and think in a certain way. So let wage earning men and women study this book or sessions with great care and enter with confidence upon the course of action it prescribes. It will not fail. So this is why we chose this book to dive in each chapter. I think we have, it's like 1 or 2 left, and it worked out perfectly for the year. Ending the year with such an amazing book, but you know, it's not just knowledge. Don't let it just go in one ear, not out the other. And you got excited, you know. Speaking of moving your feet that Paul mentioned, contact us, message us, you know, set up a call with us. We want to meet you. We want to see where you are and where you want to go. Because the longer you wait, guess what? That limiting self wants to hold you back over and over all day, every day. You have to really open your mind to what you really want to create in your life next year. And we want to help you. I want to help you so bad. So my schedule's open today. You know, I'm sure my colleagues are open as well. Reach out to whoever you resonate with and, you know, definitely schedule a call. Our links are in the descriptions or comments, or just message us whatever platform you're on. You know how to get in touch with us. Don't let your limiting self continue to hold you back from your greatness. And really allow this material to sink in, because it's more than just words. It's more than just knowledge. It's your life. What's your story? You gonna let life beat you up? Or are you gonna create the life you want? That's all I gotta say. Anybody want to have any closing remarks?
I have one. In a few weeks, it's going to be the new year. So is it going to be a new year, or is it going to be just another year?
Oh, so deep.
Wow.
I think, as Jamel was saying about reaching out, it's just really a conversation. We're just, you know, having conversations with people and seeing where that goes. So don't be afraid to reach out to one of us, to give us a call. We're just going to have a conversation. Jamel?
Break through your fear. That's your higher side wanting to be revealed.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everybody. Appreciate all the viewers here that engaged, and you know, all those that are setting up calls right now. So thank you. We're definitely looking forward to our next session on Sunday, Coach's Corner. So hopefully you received some value today. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye.